sites which fulfill the Ramsar site criteria in Maharashtra. So there are two criteria, protected and unprotected. In protected, Zaikwadi Bird Sanctuary in Aurangabad, Thane Creek Flamingo Sanctuary in Thane, Nandur Madameshwar Wildlife Sanctuary in Nashik, and Lonar Crater Lake in Buldana. Now the sites which are fulfilling Ramsar criteria in Maharashtra which are unprotected are Uzini Reservoir in May of Solapur district, in B1, where backwater of Uzini is there. Mahul Severi Mudflats in Mumbai, Navegaon National Park Wetland in Gondia, and Hatnur Dam in Jalgaon. So we'll discuss one by one briefly these Ramsar sites which are identified in the Maharashtra. So first is Zaikwadi Bird Sanctuary, which is present in Ahmednagar and Aurangabad. It was declared as Wildlife Sanctuary in 1986. So it is fulfilling the Ramsar criteria number 2, 4, 5, and 6. Now this Zaikwadi Bird Sanctuary, it is constructed in 1975 on the river Godavari. Water spread over a large area, approximately 55 km long and 27 km wide. There are about 264 species of birds reported by IRD in 2000. There are about over 10,000 docile cranes and 50,000 birds were seen here during IBA survey in 2000, according to Islam and Rahmani in 2004. Now, many species exceeding the 1% biogeographic population thresholds as determined by Wetlands internationally. Now, if we see the social and cultural value of Zaikwadi Dam, the water body of the Zaikwadi Dam has named as Nath Sagar after great Saint Eknath, and there is near a sacred town called as Paitan. Now, this Paitan is famous for ancient temples and much known for its Paitani sari. The dam has attained importance for fisheries as it supports hundreds of families which are dependent on it for fish. Next is Thane Creek Flamingo Sanctuary. It is situated in Greater Mumbai, Thane, Navi Mumbai. Its habitat is littoral forest and mudflats, and its protection status is, it is an area of about 1,691 hectares declared as Thane Creek Flamingo Sanctuary in August 6, 2015. Now, it fulfills the Ramsar criteria number 2, 5, and 6. So this is the view of Thane Creek Flamingo Sanctuary. So these are the flocks of flamingos visiting per year in Thane Creeks. These are the river terns and seagulls visiting this Thane Creek. Next is Nandur Madameshwar Wildlife Sanctuary, which is situated in Nashik district. So it was declared as Wildlife Sanctuary in 1986. It is fulfilling the Ramsar criteria number 2, 4, 5, and 6. Again, it is showing number of birds in that wildlife sanctuary. Here again, flamingos are dominant. Next is Lonar Crater Lake, which is situated in Buldana district. It is declared as wildlife sanctuary in 2000. So about 2.66 square kilometer area is declared as wildlife sanctuary. Lonar Lake included in sanctuary in 2016, and the total area now is about 3.66 square kilometer. So it fulfills Ramsar criteria number 1, that is wetland should be considered internationally important if it contains a representative. So this Lonar Lake, it shows brackish water lake created by meteor hitting the earth, immense geological and natural value, unique ecosystem because of its origin and brackish water, there are about 110 species of birds were reported by pilot in 2007. Then Vevare in 2008 reported 109 species of birds. Mean diameter of the lake is about 1.2 kilometers and is about 137 meters below the crater rim. The meteor crater rim is about 1.8 kilometers in diameter. A series of low hills surround the basin, which has an oval shape. The slopes are covered with jungle interspread with teak plantation. The water of the lake contains various salts or sodas, and during the dry weather, as the water level reduces with evaporation, large quantities of sodas are collected. Now, Lonar Lake crater and its adjoining town has about 60 archaeological monuments, Yadav temples, and also as Hemadapanthi temples. The lake is named after a demon called as Lonasura, and there is temple of Daitya Sudan. Next is Uzini Reservoir. Now, this Uzini Reservoir is situated in Pune and Solapur district. It is not officially protected. It fulfills the Ramsar criteria number 2, 4, 5, and 6. Then the Mahul Savory Mudflats, which is situated in the Mumbai district, which is showing littoral forest, that is mangroves and mudflats. It is not officially protected, which fulfills the criteria number 2, 4, 5, 6 to declare as Ramsar Sites. Wintering ground to more than 20,000 lesser flamingos for 6 months. Then it is also important wintering ground for thousands of wadder birds marked by Bombay Natural History Society with rings and flags written every year. The next is Navegaon National Park and Bandh. So it is situated in Bhandara and Gondia districts. It was declared as wildlife sanctuary in 1975, and this national park includes only the forest part, and the wetland, that is Bandh, is excluded from the park. So it fulfills the Ramsar criteria number 2, 4, 5, and 6. Then the Hatnur Dam, which is situated in the Jalgaon district, it is not protected, but it fulfills Ramsar criteria number 2, 4, 5, and 6. And it again harbors many aquatic birds. So BNHS proposed 6 wetlands as the Ramsar sites in Maharashtra. So earlier there were no any Ramsar sites declared in Maharashtra, but nowadays BNHS has pointed out these major 6 Ramsar sites to be declared as Ramsar sites. Then we have to recognize and identify more and more Ramsar sites in Maharashtra besides these 6 Ramsar sites. So for that we have to do collective work. For example, we have to write request letters to Forest Department, Maharashtra, with appropriate data. We have to write letters to MOFCs with data. Then issue press notes in local media for local sites pressing the demand and importance of these sites. Then local NGOs to take these initiatives. Then keep harping on the biodiversity values of these sites. Then we have to organize events like eco days, bird counts, bird watching, festival, collection of Nirmalya, etc. to keep these sites in focus of public mind and media. Then Bombay Natural History Society to spearhead advocacy at state level, that is already started. Now, if we see the flora and fauna, so these are some common wetland birds: white-throated kingfisher, then red-wattled lapwing. This is the purple heron. This is Indian cormorant. This is common sandpiper. This is painted stork, grey heron, barn swallow, Indian pond heron, Indian black ibis. This is little egret. This is river tern. This is white-breasted water hen, black-winged stilts. This is Indian snakebird darter, white-browed wagtail, Indian spot-billed duck. So this is Indian open bill. So besides these aquatic birds, there are a number of zooplanktons are also present in wetlands. Now we'll discuss the aquatic plant diversity of coastal plains of Konkan, Goa and Canara, particularly the true aquatic plants. Now we'll discuss. Now this is Hygrophila pinnatifida, which is common rooted submerged hydrophyte, occurs in Malvan, Panji, Maxim, Karwar and Fonda. This is Hygrophila polysperma, member of family Acanthaceae, which is common rooted submerged hydrophyte, occurring in Malvan, Panji, Maxim, Karwar and Fonda. This is Hygrophila ringens, member of family Acanthaceae again, which is rare immigrant aquatic on lake margins, which is commonly occurring at Bhatkar, Kumtha and Nerurpar. This is Ceratophyllum demersum, which is a very common aquatic plant in freshwater bodies throughout India. So this is common rooted submerged hydrophytes, occurs in Alibag, Karwar, Bhatkar, Udupi and Manipal. This is Ipomea aquatica, which is again common, abundantly occurring aquatic plant, which is rooted emergent hydrophyte, and it is common throughout Maharashtra. And sometimes it's cultivated for stem and leaves, which are used as vegetables. Then this is Myriophyllum olignatum, which is a member of family Haloragnaceae, which is frequently occurring immigrant hydrophytes, commonly occurring at Alibag, Panvel, Maxim, Panjim and Udupi. This is Utricularia australis, which is the member of family Lentibulariaceae, which rarely occurs as floating herb at Bhatkar and Khopoli. This is Utricularia stellaris, which is member of family Lentibulariaceae, which is common submerged aquatic, occurring at Dapoli, Mandangad, Lolium, Maxim and Bicholim. This is Rotella macranera, family Lythraceae, which is common immigrant aquatic, occurring at Kalasepar, Maxim. This is Rotella ricci, which is again member of family Lythraceae, which is endangered submerged partly immigrant aquatic plants, occurring at Kas. So at Kas there is Kumudini Talav, and in which this endangered species Rotella ricci is occurring. Then this is Nymphoides aurantica. Its family is Meninthaceae. It's rarely occurring rooted hydrophytes, found in Madagaon. This is Nymphoides hydrophylla, rarely occurring rooted hydrophyte, occurring at Alibag and Maxim. This is Nymphoides indicum, frequently occurring rooted hydrophyte at Ratnagiri and Pavos. This is Nymphoides parvifolium, commonly occurring rooted hydrophyte along streams at Suratkhul, Konwar, Anikeri, and Nanunda. This is Nembo nucifera, rarely occurring rooted hydrophyte in permanent water bodies. Sometimes it is cultivated, and it is commonly present in Alibag, Bonawar. This is Nymphia nauchali, which is commonly occurring rooted hydrophyte in permanent water bodies, often cultivated. Flowers open early in the morning and closes in evening. and once it is pollinated, it doesn't open. So it is commonly present at Mangalore, Udupi, Manipal, Bhatkal, Karwar, Karakkal, Ankola, Panjim, Mapsa, Luliyam, Maxim, Terekol, Malwan, Ratnagiri, Dapoli, and Harne. This is Nymphia pubescens, member of family Nymphaceae. It's commonly occurring rooted hydrophyte in shallow permanent water bodies, often cultivated, present in Kalsepar, Manipal, Karwar, and Udupi. This is Nymphia rubra, rarely occurring rooted hydrophyte in shallow permanent water bodies, often cultivated. It's present at Bhatkal, Kalsepar, Mangalore, Udupi. This is Dalgelia selenica. Its variety is Konkanika, reported by Janardhanan, which is a member of family Podostemaceae. It's commonly occurring immigrant hydrophyte on wet rocks in streams. So its occurrence is reported at Tillari. So it is commonly present in the streams. Then Griffithiella hookeriana, which is again frequently occurring immigrant hydrophyte in streams, very polymorphous, which is occurring at Kalakdara. So in summer season, you will observe such white colored patches on the rocky surfaces in the dried streams. Now this is Hydrobiopsis sessilis, which is the member of family Podostemaceae. It is also growing on the rocky surfaces in the streams, and in summer season, after it gets dried, and it is forming a patch on the rocky surface. So again, it is frequently occurring immigrant hydrophyte in streams closely attached to the rocks. It is reported from Zaikwadi. This is Indo-Tristica ramosima, which is the member of family Podostemaceae. Again, it is rarely occurring immigrant hydrophyte in swift running water. It is looking like red algae, reported from Zaikwadi. This is Polyplerum stylosum, which is again growing on the rocky surfaces of the streams. So it is rarely occurring on the rocky surfaces. Then the Limnophila heterophylla, which is a member of family Scrophulariaceae, which is rarely occurring immigrant hydrophyte in stagnant water bodies at Alibag, Bhatkar, Honavar, and Karwar. Now this is Limnophila indica, which is the member of family Scrophulariaceae, which is rarely occurring immigrant hydrophyte in stagnant waters, commonly present at Achirne, Dapoli, Karwar, Mandangad, and Manipal. This is Limnophila polystachya, which is the member of family Scrophulariaceae. It is rarely occurring immigrant hydrophyte, reported from Mandangad. This is Limnophila sessiliflora, member of family Scrophulariaceae. It is again rarely occurring immigrant hydrophyte in muddy places, reported from Maxim. This is Taipa nutans, variety Bispinosa, which is a member of family Trapeaceae. Again, it is rarely occurring floating hydrophyte, sometimes commonly cultivated, reported from Alibag, Kashere, Joida, Maxim. Now we'll discuss some monocots. This is Limnophyton obtusifolium, which is a member of family Alismataceae. It's rarely occurring rooted immigrant, grows in permanent water. It was reported from Manipal, Udupi, and Panji. This is Sagittaria gonensis, which is a member of family Alismataceae. It is rarely occurring rooted floating in waterlogged paddy fields. reported from Madgaon, Manipal, Udupi, and Malpe. Now, this is Visneria triandra, member of family Alismataceae, which is commonly occurring rooted immigrant in temporary ponds and puddles on lateritic plateaus, reported from Vaibhavwadi, Ratnagiri, Lolium Plateau, and Udupi. This is Aponogeton appendiculatus, member of family Aponogetoniaceae. It's critically endangered rooted submerged hydrophyte in brackish water or backwater habitats with immigrant inflorescence. It was reported from Chorlaghat, Ratnagiri district. This is Aponogeton brugeni, reported by S.R. Yadav sir, and which is a member of family Aponogetoniaceae. It is again critically endangered, rarely occurring rooted immigrant in paddy fields along the rivers like Tarkarli, Nirupar, Dhampur, at Kudal, district Sindhudurg, also reported from Satose near Sawantwadi. This is Aponogeton crispus, which is member of family Aponogetoniaceae. Again, commonly occurring rooted immigrant in permanent fresh water ponds, lakes, and pools. So it is widely occurring in coastal regions of Konkan, Goa, and Canada. This is Aponogeton nutans. It is commonly occurring rooted floating hydrophyte with immigrant inflorescence in temporary freshwater ponds, lakes, and pools. Again, it is widely occurring in India. This is Aponogeton nutensi, reported as a new species by S.R. Yadav and his colleagues. Now, the species grows in seasonal freshwater in large ponds on lateritic plateaus in Konkan at an altitude of 16 mean sea level. It was reported from Karel, Rajapur, in Ratnagiri. Now, this is Aponogeton satarensis, reported by again S.R. Yadav sir and his colleagues. It is endangered rooted immigrant hydrophyte, reported from Maushi Plateau, that is Satara district, and therefore it is named as, the species is named as satarensis. Now, this is Aponogeton undulatus, which is commonly occurring rooted floating hydrophyte with immigrant inflorescence. It was widely distributed in India. It is also reported from Gadvadia Lake in Amgaon in Bhandara district and Kittur in Belgaum district. This is Cryptocorin cognata, member of family Araceae. It is commonly occurring rooted floating or submerged hydrophyte with immigrant inflorescence. It is reported from Achirne, Malwan, Powers, and Mapsa. This is Cryptocorin crispatula, which is the member of family again Araceae. It's rarely occurring rooted floating or submerged hydrophyte with immigrant inflorescence. It was reported from Pudbudri and Shirur rivers. This is Cryptocorin spiralis, variety cognatoides, reported by S.R. Yadav sir. Rarely occurring rooted floating or submerged hydrophyte with immigrant inflorescence. It was reported from Amboli. And this is Laginandra ovata. It is commonly occurring rooted floating hydrophyte with immigrant inflorescence. So it was widely distributed in India. Then Pistia stratoides, which is the member of family Araceae. So it is commonly occurring free floating hydrophyte in ponds and permanent water bodies. So it is widely distributed in coastal plains of Konkan, Goa, and Canada. This is Urecolon breviscapum, which is the member of family Urecoliaceae. It is rarely occurring rooted immigrant in running water streams and rivers at low altitude. It was reported from Chorlaghat River on the way to Fonda. This is Urecolon dalgeli, which is commonly occurring rooted immigrant in running water of streams and rivers at low altitudes. It was reported from Achirne, Malvan, Powers, Mapsa, and Annakeri. Now, this is Blixa oberti, variety Echinusperma, which is the member of Hydrocharitaceae. Rarely occurring rooted submerged in temporary water bodies and often in waterlogged paddy fields. It was reported from Panji, Madagaon, and Udupi. Now, this is Blixa octandra, again rarely occurring rooted submerged in temporary water bodies, ponds, puddles on lateritic plateaus, and in waterlogged paddy fields. It was reported from Lolium. Now, this is Hygrophila decipans. Again, it is rarely occurring rooted submerged in muddy places in marine water along sea coasts. It was reported along Arabian sea coast. This is Hygrophila ovalis. It is rarely occurring rooted submerged in muddy estuarine regions along sea coast. Reported along Arabian sea coast from Bombay. This is Hydrilla Verticillata, member of Hydrocharitaceae. It is abundantly occurring rooted submerged in permanent freshwater bodies, and it is very common throughout coastal plains in freshwater bodies. Then this is Nacamandra alternifolia. It is rarely occurring rooted submerged in permanent freshwater bodies, lakes, ponds, and canals. It was reported from Kittur and Thane. This is Otelia alismoides. It is commonly occurring rooted immigrant in permanent freshwater bodies like lakes, ponds, and canals. So it is present throughout India, which is abundantly present in the freshwater bodies. And it was reported from Panji, Dastikopa, and Manipal. This is Vallisneria spiralis. So it's commonly occurring rooted submerged in permanently freshwater bodies like lakes and ponds. So it is common throughout coastal plains. This is Lemna gibba, member of family Lemnaceae. Again, it is commonly occurring free-floating hydrophyte in permanent freshwater bodies. Reported from Nirupar, Panji. This is Spirodella Polyriser, commonly occurring free-floating hydrophyte in permanent freshwater bodies like lakes, pools, ponds, and tanks. It was reported from Nirupar, Karumbal Lake in Goa. And this is Najas graminea, member of family Najadaceae. It is commonly occurring rooted submerged hydrophyte in temporary and permanent freshwater bodies. Reported from Nirupar in Maharashtra, Udupi from Karnataka, and Karumbal Lake in Goa. This is Najas indica, which is commonly occurring rooted submerged hydrophyte in temporary and permanent freshwater bodies. Reported from Karwar, Manipal, Rajapur, and Thane. This is Najas marina, member of family Najadaceae, which is rarely occurring rooted submerged hydrophyte in permanent freshwater bodies. It was reported from Kagal, Kas in Maharashtra state. This is Najas minor, which is a member of family Najadaceae, commonly occurring rooted immigrant hydrophyte in stagnant freshwater bodies, and it is very common throughout the coastal plains. Now these are some grasses like Quaix aquatica, which is a member of family Poaceae, very common grass occurring rooted immigrant hydrophyte in freshwater bodies forming large protein mats. So it is again common throughout the coastal plains. This is Hygrophila aristata, commonly occurring free-floating hydrophytic grass in freshwater bodies, reported from Panji, Udupi, and Dastikopa. This is Lircia hexandra. It is rarely occurring free-rooted immigrant in rice fields and shallow water tanks. It was reported from Kolhapur and Zaikwadi in Maharashtra state. This is Oryza rufifogon. It is commonly occurring rooted immigrant in temporary ponds and puddles on lateritic plateaus in coastal plains of Konkan, Goa and Canara. And that is reported from Lolium and Manipal. This is Pasmaridium geminatum. It is commonly occurring rooted immigrant in permanent wet places such as margins of lakes, pools and ponds. And it is again commonly occurring throughout the coastal plains. This is Pseudoraphis spinescens. It is commonly occurring rooted immigrant paddy fields, reported from Ratnagiri and Malvan. This is Potamogeton crispus, which is commonly occurring rooted submerged in freshwater bodies, reported from Kittur in Karnataka and Nandur from Maharashtra. This is Potamogeton nodosus of the member of family Potamogetenaceae, commonly occurring rooted floating hydrophyte in permanent and temporary freshwater bodies, reported from Kittur in Karnataka. This is Potamogeton pectinatus, commonly occurring rooted floating hydrophyte in permanent and temporary freshwater bodies, reported from Nandur in Maharashtra state. This is Ecornia crassips, which is the member of family Pontedriaceae. Now, this is a troublesome weed nowadays in different wetland bodies like rivers, lakes, and streams. So, it is very commonly occurring free-floating hydrophyte in permanent and temporary freshwater bodies, and it occurs throughout coastal plains. This is Monocots vaginalis, which is a member of family Pontedriaceae, which is again commonly occurring rooted immigrant in waterlogged paddy fields and margins of temporary ponds and puddles. It was reported from Zaikwadi Pavos in Maharashtra, Malpe and Pudubudri from Karnataka and Madagaon in Goa. Now this is Taipa Angustifolia, which is again very common rooted immigrant in waterlogged fields and margins of permanent and temporary pools, ponds and tanks. And it is widely or commonly occurring throughout the coastal plains. This is Janichellia palustris, member of family Janichelliaceae, rarely occurring rooted submerged in waterlogged fields and margins of permanent and temporary pools, ponds and tanks. So these are some plants which are occurring in the freshwater bodies or the estuaries of the coastal regions of Maharashtra, Goa and Karnataka. Now we'll discuss about the aquatic weeds, and there are a number of plants which are growing in wetlands. Now some of these plants are very much useful for the human beings. For example, rhizomes of Melimbo, Nucifera and fruits of Nymphaea nauchili, they are used as source of food. Then Bacopa monnieri, then Centella asiatica, then Eclipta alba, they are widely used in medicines. Then Lagenandra toxicaria, which is useful as water purifier. Then Nelimbo nucifera is useful in worshipping the Hindu gods. Then Taipa Angustifolia, which is useful for thatching huts, and Pandanus fascicularis and Cyprus pangori. These are used for preparing mats and baskets. Now there are a number of aquatic plants. So this is a list of some of the more than 44 aquatic plants reported from the different wetlands of Maharashtra. Now these weeds which are growing in the wetlands, they are causing trouble in different activities like boating. Now, if you see the major aquatic weeds of the world, reflecting the severity of the weed infestation in our region, in that the major weeds are Ecornia crassips, which is commonly called as water hyacinth, Taipa species, then Ipomia carnea, which is called as Becherum, Hydrilla Verticillata, that is Hydrilla, Salvinia, that is water fern, then Alternanthera felixroidis, alligator weed, then Monocots vaginalis, which is called as carpet weed, then Sagittarius species called as arrowhead, then Potamogeton, which is pondhead, and Pistia stratoides, which is water lettuce. So these are some troublesome aquatic weeds growing in different wetlands. So again, this is the list of some aquatic weeds which are growing in the different wetlands. So they are causing some harms, that is disadvantages of aquatic weeds. So the excessive growth of aquatic plants, they are considered as weeds, and these weeds influence adverse physical, chemical, and biological effects on water bodies, with its resultant aesthetic and economic losses. Now it is also very tough to control these plants because very less is known about growth and development of such aquatic plants. So these aquatic plants also affect the water bodies in several ways. So it clogs the passage and intake points. It also clogs the culvertures, then bridges, nalas, then tiny phytoplanktons, pond scums, and duckweeds clog screens, siphons, and the sprinkles of the modern agricultural systems. So disrupts navigation and other recreational activities such as water sports also. Now, these aquatic weeds threaten efficient working of hydroelectric plants by infesting their reservoir and tanks, interference in netting, then they reduce fish growth in the particular wetlands, then increased loss of water, then damage to lowland and water crops. Then they are also responsible for spreading different types of the diseases, then destruction of water bodies or reduction of water depth. Then aquatic weeds have proved to be a persistent and expensive environmental problem, costing millions of rupees to control and unaccounted millions more to correct the damage to the environment. And it can be said that the aquatic weeds adversely affect every facets of the water use. So if we see the loss of biodiversity, that is damage to the native flora due to these aquatic weeds. So if you see the picture, there is a great or abundant growth of the weeds in the aquatic body, that is wetlands, which is causing great loss to the other plants and animals which are present in the wetland bodies. So for that, we have to control these aquatic weeds. So there are different measures to control the aquatic weeds, like preventive, manual, and mechanical, chemical, biological control through utilization, and combination of method for controlling weeds. So if you see the manual and mechanical methods, in that mechanical control of the aquatic weeds, manual clearing, cutting, chaining, water weeds, cutter and harvester, moving, netting, and floating barriers. So through chaining, we can control the aquatic weeds, then manual removal of weeds, then physical control of aquatic weeds, then manual removal of weeds, remove weed on the floor, if you see. So these are some mechanical methods through which we can remove the aquatic weeds from the water bodies. There are again the chemicals, that is herbicides, which are used to control the growth of the aquatic weeds, like 2,4-D ester, amine, sodium paraquat, then dalpon, paraquat, glyphosate, then endothal diquat cation, then simazine. So these different chemicals, they are used for the controlling the aquatic weeds, either submerged or floating weeds. Then there are some biological controls of the aquatic weeds also. So currently there is very less practice regarding the biocontrol of the aquatic weeds. For example, some larvae of the insects, beetle, and especially the corny and Iconochi, which are the two fungal species which are utilized on very small scale, fail to give the better results. Some snails like Pila globosa, and through fish cultivation, we can control the growth of the aquatic weeds. Then control through utilization. No doubt the aquatic weeds, they are also useful to the human beings, so we can use them as food for animals, then food for fish, then food for human beings. So there are a number of aquatic plants which can be used for horticultural purposes, particularly in Indian kitchens also. these plants are useful as a food material. Then aquatic plants are also useful in number of ways, like we can use them for preparation of compost, then fiber. Then there are a number of aquatic plants which are medicinally important. So there are 37 plants which are used against different diseases. So important what are, if you see the important ones are the Bacopa moneri, Hypomia aquatica, and Hydra fluctuans, then Centella asiatica, Acorus calamus, then Monocaria vaginalis, etc. So we'll discuss some of the important medicinal plants, that is value of the aquatic plants as medicinal plants. So this is the Acorus calamus, which is the member of family RAC, commonly called as sweet flag. In Marathi it is called as Wekhand. So it's fresh and dried rhizomes, they are medicinally useful. So I'm not going into details because there are a number of slides. We'll skip some information regarding their medicinal uses. I'm just giving you idea regarding the value of the medicinal aquatic plants. So this is Acorus calamus. This is Alocasia mycorrhiza. Roots and leaves are medicinally important. This is Alternanthera sessilis. So it is growing as weed, but the plant is very much useful as the for different types of the controlling different types of the diseases. This is Amannia bacifera. Here leaves are useful. This is Bacopa moneri, called as Brahmi. This is Biophytum sensivitum, just like Lazaro other plant. Whole plant is medicinally important. This is Canna indica, Karadar. Whole plant is medicinally important. This is Centella asiatica, Brahmi, or also called as Manduparni, which is medicinally important. This is Costus pictus. It is also called as insulin plant. Nowadays, it is cultivated in home gardens also, and its leaves are chewed for controlling the diabetes. This is Costus speciosus. Rhizomes are medicinally important. This is Cryptocoryne spiralis. Again, the rhizome is medicinally important. This is Eclipta prostrata maca or bringraj, which is commonly used in hair oils. It is also useful in different other medicinal properties. It is Hydrilla Verticillata. Whole plant and leaves are medicinally important. This is Hygrophila auriculata. In Marathi, it is called Talim Khana. Then Camphora galanga, its rhizomes are medicinally important. Camphora rotunda, again rhizomes are medicinally important. This is Limnanthemum indicum. Here rhizomes are medicinally important. This is Ludwigia perennis. The whole plant is medicinally important. This is Marsilia quadrifolia, commonly called as charpatti. The whole plant is medicinally important. This is Nelimbo nucifera, commonly called as kamal. It is also medicinally important. Its leaves, stamens, stem, and tubers are medicinally important. This is Nymphia pubescens. Whole plant is medicinally important. This is Nymphoides hydrophila. Again, the whole plant is medicinally important. This is Otelia alismoides. Whole plant is medicinally important. This is Pandanus fascicularis, family Pandanaceae. Here the flowers are medicinally important. This is Phyla nudiflora. Whole plant is medicinally important. Pistia statoides, leaves are medicinally important. Polygonum glabrum, root, stem, and leaves are medicinally important. Then Speranthus abranthoides, here roots, stem, and leaves are medicinally important. This is Speranthus indicus, here roots and seeds are medicinally important. Spagneticola calendulacea, here the leaves and the achins, here roots and seeds, they are medicinally important. Then Spagneticola trilobata, here roots and seeds are medicinally important. Then Spilanthes, calva, sprouts and roots are medicinally important. Vallisneria natans, whole plant is medicinally important. So we have seen that there are a number of aquatic plants which are medicinally important also. So we can use positively these aquatic plants for their medicinal value. Then we have to give treatment to the wastewater and source of energy. So some fast-growing aquatic plants absorbs heavy metal and purify water. So plants like Eucornia, Taipa, Phragmites, Spirodella, Lemna, and Wulfia, they are successfully used to purify water, and these plants are the good source for the biogas also. And there are a number of plants which are used in the religious and for ornamental purposes. For example, in different festivals, flowers of some aquatic plants of specific species, they are offered to the god and goddess. For example, Nelumbo lucifera, it is offered to Lord Jagannatha during the Rath Yatra festival. Then Nimpi as well as Nilumbu is also offered to please goddess Lakshmi, the deity of wealth, and the small risers of scriptures. Process is offered to Lord Bhaskara, that is sun, during a well-known Hindu festival called as Chhat. Besides aquatic plants are used in aquarium industry, these plants also help in binding the soil and prevent soil erosion. It can be a good source of food and of ornamental value if cultivated commercially. Then for biogas production, Eucornia crassips has proven as good source of the production of biogas. Then there are many other methods which are useful for controlling the aquatic weeds. So therefore, we have to control weed to manage water bodies. Now, currently, all of you are familiar with the aquatic pollution, and this pollution, that is water pollution, is responsible for the contamination of water bodies like lakes, rivers, oceans, and groundwater. So I'm not going into details about effect of pollution. So if you see the sources, farmers often use chemicals, then industrial processes produce toxic waste, construction industry, groundwater pollution, the natural catastrophes, growth of algae, littering on land. So this water pollution is responsible for the disturbance or destruction of the aquatic biodiversity, which is present in the different wetland bodies. So this is the treated effluent discharge in the rivers. So rivers are also greatly affected due to water pollution. So all these man-made activities, they are responsible for the disturbing the aquatic biota. Now the algal growth due to sewage discharge, if you see in the rivers. So urban runoff, failing septic systems, agriculture, mining, construction, stream projects, they are responsible for the water pollution. And if you see the major effects of water pollution, the food chain is damaged, then diseases can spread via polluted water, then pollutants will alter the overall chemistry of the water, aquatic food sources are contaminated and altered water temperatures. So again, there is groundwater pollution is the major problem, and therefore we have to stop to add these toxic substances in the aquatic environment. But nowadays, due to the overpopulation, we are going to disturb or destruct such type of the wetlands. And if you see the picture, there is mass fish kill due to polluted water, and this is common in western Maharashtra also, where sugar factories are there, and they are releasing their molasses in the river, and it is causing great havoc to the aquatic fauna, particularly the fishes. They get died in large amount due to such polluted water. So there are many waterborne diseases like amoebiasis, cholera, giardiasis, typhoid, then schistosomiasis, and cyclosporiasis. So therefore, we have to conserve these Ramsar sites or wetlands from our region. So therefore, let's make Maharashtra proud by conserving Ramsar sites and aquatic flora and fauna. So we have to take quick action or major step to conserve such aquatic bodies, particularly to conserve the biodiversity, that is the flora and fauna. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. We are so pleased that you gave such an amazing presentation to us. Very rare, endemic, and very unique species were presented on this presentation. So we are very glad to see this presentation and to attend such a innovative webinar. So I would request Dr. Rajendra Laute that many of our participants are asking for the presentations that you have presented right now. So with your prior permission, we can send them this presentation. If you
Yes, I will share to the sir.
Sure, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Fine. So we are at the end of the webinar now. That's just a formality. Yeah. But I would like to thank Dr. Lavte for such an innovative and unique presentation and such a nice webinar. I would now kindly thank Dr. Lavte for this webinar, and I would inform every participant that the feedback link for this webinar is in the chat box, and we will also post the feedback link in the WhatsApp group. The certificates will be available to you in working 3-4 days. So please be patient with us. Dr. Lavte, I thank you on behalf of Dapoli Education Society and the Institute and the department. Thank you so much for the webinar. Thank you so much, sir. And we had 512 participants and responses for this webinar. So we would thank all the participants for this participation. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Good day.